Hello, YouTube. Stop talking about my mother. I saw that. Let me, oh, did somebody block Harvey? Hope nobody blocked Harvey. Let me get started on TikTok here. Enhance, filter face. Boom. All right. All right, we're started on TikTok too. So, all right, let me wait for the TikTok folks to come in, adjust my camera. Everybody introduce yourselves, the usual. Manda Bear, wow, you're the first one in, even. There's a coincidence. That's funny. All right, welcome back, everybody. John Aravosis here in DC. A little wave. Let folks know where you're from. Usually we take a minute or two. I'd say two. Just to let folks, hey guys, Ireland. That was a very bad Irish accent. Florida, I can do the American accent's fine. Toronto, New Zealand, love that. Always love Alaska. Becca, I'm even recognizing your name now, Becca. Gosh, it's weird to start recognizing people. Australia. Oh, and thank you, Stephanie, already for the roses. Appreciate that. Hey, guys. Gatwick. Ireland. More Ireland. We've got all of Ireland on tonight. Kharkiv. Woo! Let's hear it for Kharkiv. Kharkiv. Hang in there, Kharkiv. I know the Russians are being nasty. I didn't call Mom before the broadcast. No. They were taking bets on TikTok as to what time Mom was going to call. Apparently, it's become an industry now. For those who aren't aware, my mother has, I think, 3 days in a row now called right in the middle of this. And when she calls, it cuts off. Oh, and the hat. Thank you, Ashley. It cuts off my TikTok and freezes it when Mom calls. So, yep, I'm going to talk about the chemical weapon possible use. That's on the, she'll call it ever. Well, lately she's been calling like an hour in. So like 8 o'clock my time. But we'll see. We'll see. Wait, I'm just assuming she's not going to call. The thing is, though, I think like she has dinner, and then after dinner, which kind of makes sense. Like after dinner for her might be 7 o'clock, and then she's like, she misses me and she calls me, which is cute. So, but yeah, but anyway, we take a minute or two, just have folks introduce themselves. That allows a little bit of time for folks to come on, especially TikTok and YouTube, where most of our folks are coming in from. So, hello. Yes, thank you, moderators. Britain, hello. Tia, Ontario. I do need to travel more in Canada too. I've only been a little and I've liked it. I'm dying to go to Vancouver, but also dying to go to Toronto and Montreal. Belfast, another place I'd love to go. Detroit, have been. What else we got? Australia, almost made it to Australia. Norway, haven't been to Norway. I hear it's very expensive. Candy and Diana and Candy and Diana. Thank you both. Or can for you, I should say, not Candy. Yeah, Sweden was crazy expensive, but I was told Norway might be even worse, so I may have to go. Greece, woo, yes. I may have to go to Norway once I'm rich because Sweden was insanely expensive. I remember we went out. I was going to kind of observe the elections and ended up helping, but they paid me like a stipend, which was nice. They gave me a stipend, but basically it cost me more just to buy my food than the money they gave me. It was like $30 for a hamburger. I was like, we didn't have much money. I didn't have a lot of money. And I was just like, can we just go to like a pub and buy a burger? Okay, we go to the pub. The burger was $30 US at a pub in Sweden. And this is just a regular pub. Oh my God. Mixed drinks were $20 each. And this was 12 years ago. Anyway, yeah, Sweden. Oh my God. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to jump in. Thank you for the origami. All right, I'll set down the ground rules and we will jump right in. So thank you for joining us, guys. John Aravosis here, Washington, D.C. This is our daily show, but not the daily show. We take about 20, 25 minutes to talk about the news of the day, just update you guys on what's going on the stories that I think are relevant regarding Ukraine and Russia, and also to explain to you what I think is going on with these stories, why I think it's important to bring them up. And then we get to the question and answer part. That goes for a good 45 minutes of just answering your questions and thank you. And I always appreciate the little gifts on TikTok. I see them. I always tell folks too, I've got TikTok here and YouTube here so I can see the comments like in a row. So even if I don't mention every gift, I am seeing them. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. But in any case, so yeah, then we'll do the Q&A. Somebody said yesterday that there is I'm forgetting now on TikTok. Is it a button that actually says Q&A? I think. But there's a special button you click, and that's where I want you to put the questions. If somebody knows how to do it, maybe just put it in the comments for folks. But excuse me, click those buttons and put the comments there, and then the questions. I'll get to those questions. Same thing same thing. YouTube, you know how to do it. Put your questions in the comments. And if you buy a super chat question, I will promise you to get to it as the next thing I talk about, so long as it doesn't fly off the screen, and then the moderators will remind me and I will be chagrined. Thank you for the exploding party favors. We can have the party favors for Harvey Kittle, whose birthday it is tomorrow. Harvey made the mistake of telling me. So happy birthday, actually, and he's in the UK, which means it's already 1 a.m. So it's midnight. Harvey just had a birthday. It's happy birthday, Harvey. Everybody give him some love. Okay, let's jump in. So the fundraiser. Just a very, very, very quick update. We've been raising money for medical kits. Thank you for the origami. To provide for soldiers and citizens as well in Ukraine. We finally crossed $10,000, which was my goal personally of us getting. We crossed that last night. The grand total, I'm still leaving it up. If people want to keep giving, we'll keep buying medical supplies. The grand total is $10,298.93. I was finagling what to buy so I could spend as much as possible. I have spent all but $1.07 of it on medical supplies for Ukraine. That's 80 trauma kits, which are these super duper expensive, like $105 each, medical kits that are for, you cut off your arm, you have a gaping hole in your chest, this kind of stuff. And then spent the rest of the money because they said now they're saying what they want first, and they wanted a number of the medical supplies first before the kits. So I bought a lot of bandages, gauze, all sorts of stuff they wanted that were for the medical kits. So anyway, thank you so much, guys. If you want to keep donating, I'll keep buying. 100% of the money is going to buying this stuff. I then ship it to a Ukrainian charity using Amazon, and the Ukrainian charity is paying for shipping it over there, which is great. You can find on TikTok the link in my profile that says Beacons. Click it, and the very first thing you arrive there tells you how to donate. Don't be afraid of it saying PayPal. You could just use a credit card. You don't need to have a PayPal account. And on YouTube, Be Kind already posted it. Thank you, darling. I'll put that up for folks to see. So let me jump into the substance now. Chemical attack is the big story of the day. We don't know if it happened, but the Azov Battalion, which is they're kind of far right guys, but they're fighting in the war, and pretty much Ukraine needs everybody it can. The Azov Battalion guys who are fighting in Mariupol, that city that's just being, bombarded to death by the Russians, but the Russians still have not been able to take it over in 6 weeks, which is huge. Mariupol, critically important because it connects eastern Ukraine that Russia is now about to start the big battle in. They want to steal eastern Ukraine and make it part of Russia. They stole Crimea in the south back in 2014 and made it part of Russia. I mean, no one recognizes it, but they're claiming it's part of Russia. And guess what? They want a land bridge connecting the two. They've attacked a lot of the land they've gotten. One of the things they don't have is Mariupol, which is kind of over here. So they've been fighting for 6 weeks. They haven't gotten it yet. Some valiant Ukrainians fighting like crazy to hold on to it. And the soldiers are claiming that an unmanned vehicle flew over, unarmed or unmanned air vehicle, UAV, a drone basically, flew over, dropped some kind of chemical on them. 3 of the men are injured, respiratory problems. It has not been confirmed yet. The Pentagon just put out a spokesman literally, thank you for that, literally 2 minutes before I came on. I saw the Pentagon spokesman came out and said, these are very serious allegations. If they use chemical weapons, this is very serious, but no one knows yet if they used it. They're being very careful. Even Zelensky gave a speech and was sort of using a hypothetical. So we don't know is the point. These guys have alleged it. I don't think they would lie. But one of the war people I follow on Twitter, one of the military experts I follow on Twitter was saying that, and this is one of his expertise is chemical weapons. He said, they could be being totally legit, but maybe there was a fire in some building that had plastic and the plastic noxious fumes got them at the same time. You just don't know. So it's got to be investigated, especially when we're talking about chemical weapons, because that's the kind of thing that potentially raises things to an entirely other level, right? So understandable. Interesting. So there was some talk as to whether it was sarin gas. Again, these are just rumors. Sarin gas is just a very bad poison. Malcolm Nance, who I am friends with, if I may drop names, at least for the Americans. The rest may not know who he is. Some of you may not know who he is. But Malcolm is a former military guy, intelligence, kind of all sorts of things. Great guy. And Malcolm was saying today that, same thing. We don't know if it was chemical weapons. We don't know yet. But if it was, the fact that only 3 people got sick means it could have been a test, that they could have been testing the quantity and the dispersal. Basically saying, okay, if we fly a UAV over troops and we release this amount at this height, how well will it spread? How many people will get sick? And that gives you an idea of what to do if you really want to go after everybody. It's sick, but this is what you do. You do test runs. So Malcolm said, if it was a chemical attack, just because it's a small attack doesn't mean it's not real. The small attack could have been a test. Britain's Ministry of Defense warned on Monday that Russia may employ phosphorus gas munitions in Mariupol. And I think that coincidentally might have even been before this report. And a spokesperson for one of the breakaway regions in the east, the regions that the Russians have been trying to break away forever. Thank you for the origami. Random W. I think that was you. The breakaway regions, one of their spokespeople came out, and again, like an hour or two before the attack, basically said Russia needs to drop chemical weapons on the troops there. And it just so happens an hour or two later, there's fear of a chemical attack. So again, a lot of circumstantial evidence, but it's the kind of thing you got to be sure about, and we're still not sure yet. Talking more about what's going on with the war. So, as you know, they're fighting every day, but Russia lost the war in the north, which was north of Kiev, excuse me. I usually don't fall back into saying that again, Kiev. And the Russian troops finally left there. Some of the ones that are really wounded have gone to Belarus. Other ones they're trying to move them east and around Ukraine, and then to come in from the east, so they can really fight like crazy in this region in the east. Now, it's going to take them several weeks. Well, the military guys think it's going to take them a while to regroup. That, for example, they need more men. To get these new men and to train them effectively could take until June or later. Putin, however, and you guys have asked about this before, and you are correct, Putin is continuing to put a lot of pressure on his troops to get something significant done, to win by May 9th, which is the anniversary of World War II. At least it's the victory. The Germans celebrate the victory over the Nazis. Now, that's like 3 weeks from now. Or 3.5 weeks. Nobody thinks the Russians can win anything big between now and then. Nobody does. But nonetheless, that's what Putin's pushing for. The big battle has not happened yet. It's going to be big and it's going to be gory from what folks are saying. The Russians are still resupplying, or maybe just beginning to resupply. There's an 8-mile long convoy. We talked about it last night. It has, tanks, weapons, you name it. There's a lot of stuff coming on this convoy. The interesting thing some of the analysts are saying is it's on open road. It's on highways. And they think, well, first of all, it shows that the Russians, they're exposing their vehicles. So once again, it's not the safest. If the Ukrainians can get in there, and if the Ukrainians choose to get in there, they can blow the bejesus out of this thing. And typically, I did not know this until this war. Typically, you first blow up the vehicles in the very front, because then it causes a mess and nobody can move. You got a traffic jam. And then you blow up the vehicles at the end of the convoy because it stops people from backing up. And then once you've done that, then you just take everything. And if you've seen tanks and stuff, tanks, a tank turning around, it's like, it's like granny turning around. It just isn't that quickly. So, but I was hearing some of the military experts saying they're not concerned that there haven't been attacks on the convoy yet, because I was thinking, probably like you, why aren't they attacking it? But they've got limited ammunition to start with, limited weapons, and for whatever reason, they're not doing it yet, but that's not necessarily a problem. There was an interesting paragraph in the New York Times as to why there is talk about this being much harder, this upcoming war in the east of Ukraine, than the war that was in north of Kyiv, that the Ukrainians did such a great job, just destroying the Russians. Let me read you this from the New York Times. This new offensive in Donbass will look very different from the battles fought so far in and around Ukrainian cities in the north and the south. Both the Pentagon and independent military analysts warn. Russia's invasion has bogged down in the face of urban combat and difficult terrain. So urban combat meaning going city to city and having to, fight people from their homes and all this kind of stuff. And difficult terrain, hilly, muddy, all that kind of stuff. But the flatter, more open countryside of Donbass, the region in the east, may favor Russia's armored units and air superiority. So there's a little concern that it's going to be easier for Russia having that. Well, I did more Googling because I was trying to see what everybody else was saying. And it is interesting. It's as I've been saying for a few days, people keep going, not back and forth. You see experts on one side and experts on another saying, ooh, this could favor Russia, this could favor Ukraine. It's a tie. Some of the other stuff. Russia is more familiar with the terrain and can resupply they're more familiar with the terrain because this is the region of the breakaway, the breakaway movement that Russia's been financing since 2014. So they're their allies. So they've been there a lot back and forth. So they know the region better. Secondly, what was the other thing? They can resupply by train. Yeah, that was one of the big things. When they came through Kyiv, they couldn't resupply by train. They resupplied by that 40-mile convoy that the Ukrainians destroyed and got stuck and never supplied anybody. So they lost their supplies. When the Russians are coming from the east, they've got the Russian train system and then the train system into these eastern provinces that are friendlier to the Russians. I would suspect at some point you're going to see, if they can do it, you're going to see the Ukrainians trying to blow up those train lines. I mean, I certainly would. I'm not a general, but my point is you want to stop the Russians from getting their logistics. And one of the ways would be bombing those highways they're using, because obviously that's where the tanks and things are coming. And the other is the train system. So look for that in the coming days, I guess is all I'll say with that. Oh, but some of the negatives. So I was looking around, and again, it's not all bad news for Ukraine. Russians have low morale because they've gotten the bejesus kicked out of them, and they know it, right? A lot of the units, this is one of the experts, a lot of the units simply won't be ready to fight again after being beaten so badly in the north. So meaning, for a lot of Russian soldiers, like any soldiers, you get beaten so badly. You've got so many of your men who have been killed. Your brothers fighting with you. You're injured. It's not like you can take a week break and be ready to fight again. I mean, these guys are just spent. So that's one of the things that's hurting the Russians is we know they don't have enough troops. We know, for example, yesterday, the day before the news that the Russians were going and forcing people to come back who had left the military in the last 10 years, like saying, you think you've resigned, you're coming back. So that shows they don't have enough people. And even if they get those people back in, those people haven't been training, for years. So it's going to take them a while to get them up to speed. And a lot of these experts don't think they're going to be up to speed. So the road convoys, exactly what I was telling you, really dangerous. Oh, and apparently I thought this had begun. The spring rain has not started yet. Ukraine is notorious for being a swamp, just, mud and water and disgusting in springtime. And the worst of it has not even begun. So you've got open plains of fields. That's still going to be a disaster for Russia when it finally happens. So that's good news. On the bad side, and then I'll wrap with this, James Vasquez, who's one of the guys I follow on Twitter. He's on TikTok now too. He's the American from New York City who just former military volunteered to go over there. And he and another guy are kind of running their own little unit or whatever you call it of Ukrainian soldiers. Thank you for that, Ginger. Running their own little sort of unit of Ukrainian soldiers. And he's saying that they do not have enough ammunition. They don't have nearly the amount of ammunition they need. And the West needs to send a hell of a lot more. At the same time, John Spencer, who's another guy I follow on TikTok, who's very interesting. He's on CNN a lot now. He is an expert in urban warfare. In other words, the very thing of if the Russians are going to take over Mariupol, take over Kyiv, take over even small towns, how do you do it and how do you stop them from doing it? He's sort of an expert on almost really guerrilla warfare, teaching citizens how to cause the most mayhem for tanks and things coming through their towns. Well, he said as well, which I was concerned. He said, thank you, Carol, for that. He said that it is true that this terrain is different. This war is going to be different. He said, this is not, because I was asking him today actually on Twitter. I said, okay, what do you think? I mean, some people are saying, well, the Ukrainians did so well in the north, they're going to do just as well in the east. And he said, not necessarily. It's going to be a totally different war. It's going to be very difficult. And he's concerned that a lot of the weapons already promised by the West, thank you for that on TikTok, a lot of the weapons already promised by the West are taking so slow to get there that it's causing a problem. So not only is it a matter of us not giving them the weapons we should be giving them, but the stuff we've promised is somehow caught in our bureaucracy. And I just, somebody needs to slap all of our collective governments around. I will leave it at that. Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer met with Putin today, Monday today, unless it's birthday for you like Harvey in England, it would be Tuesday, but for the rest of us, it's Monday. Apparently, the meeting did not go well. It was a tense conversation, and the quote from the Austrian chancellor was, "It left him pessimistic." Thank you for that. User number blah, blah. It left him pessimistic. But apparently, he sort of read Putin the Riot Act, and he told him, and he said, the sanctions aren't going away. You keep doing this, we're going to do more sanctions, and they're not going to go away until you stop this. And Putin got angry. So what do you do? It's good that somebody had the backbone to stand up to the guy, especially the Austrians, since the Austrians are not part of NATO. Interestingly enough, I'm always surprised when I look at that. I go, oh, God, that's funny. Yep, not part of NATO. The death toll at the Kramatorsk train station, the train station that they bombed a few days ago, Friday, was it, I think, that horrific bombing of the train station by the Russians. The death toll is now up to 57 with 109 wounded. I've got one more little nasty story, then a few okay stories, and then we're done. So that's pretty short today on the news, and then we will do questions. This somebody had shared earlier, but I thought it was very interesting. I wanted to read it to you guys. This is the opening paragraph of a New York Times story about Bucha. And Bucha, is that city that Ukrainians and the media moved into last weekend and saw all the bodies lying around the road. Tsu, I think. Tsu, I'm going to say. Thank you for that. And yep, I'll get to that. And I'll put Motek's question up now so I don't forget it. Bucha, yes. So it's the city they moved into, all the deaths, the people with their hands tied behind their back, the person riding the bicycle, shot riding the bike, all that, those horrific war crimes. Well, the New York Times has people that have been investigating all week over there. And this is the lead, as it's called in writing, but basically meaning the first paragraph of the article. Listen to this. A mother killed by a sniper while walking with her family to fetch a thermos of tea. A woman held as a sex slave, naked except for a fur coat and locked in a potato cellar before being executed. Two sisters dead in their home, their bodies left slumped on the floor for weeks. Bucha is a landscape of horrors. Oh, again, that's it for the Debbie Downer. For the Debbie Downer news. I don't have any more of the disgusting news for today, but just, it's just the gratuitousness of the killing, and not just gratuitousness, but treating that woman like that, treating her as a sex slave. And then when you're done with her, you kill her. I mean, it just can't, somebody's spamming on TikTok. Don't go there. Don't go there. You came in on Debbie Downer news. We're done with the Debbie Downer news, though. And correct, the chemical attacks are still not confirmed. I'm just looking around here. All right, I'm gonna be checking in shortly on TikTok. Don't go there. Germany. This was kind of an annoying little story. Oh, sorry. Let me do Motek Missy's question first. What about all the children that have been taken? No news on that. Now, the Ukrainians were saying like 120,000 children, maybe 130,000 Ukrainian children had been stolen to Russia. Yeah, I'm going to guess you weren't suffering from cancer and that you're kind of here just being a crazy person. We have a crazy person that just joined in on YouTube. The people that do their little crazy, it's kind of funny though. People come in and they put just the craziest comments for trolling, like, I had cancer and this witch doctor cured me. And you're going to be like, oh, hey, get the witch doctor. Great. Anyway, the children taken. So the Ukrainians said yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, that 120 to 130,000 children were taken by the the Russians to Russia. Some people, and these were Russians, of course, kept coming into TikTok and saying, well, that's hot. That's a lot of children. You can't move that many children. Well, guess how many Ukrainians are in Poland right now? I think it's 2.5 million. If you can move 2.5 million Ukrainians into Poland, you can move 120,000 children into Russia. And in fact, the Russians even admitted it. They had said, I forgot the exact number, but they had said several hundred thousand, they had saved several 100,000 adults and at least like 150,000 children or something, and saved them from Mariupol or somewhere else. And of course, you're reading this and going, well, the only way you could have saved them is by kidnapping them and moving them to Russia, because that's what saving them would be, right? Getting them away from the Nazis. So in my view, the Russians have already admitted to this. We don't know what's happening with them. We don't know. We just don't know. One little point I'll make is this stuff is backed up by the story I posted on my Substack the other day, and I did video of it. I just read the story in about 3 or 4 videos. I called it Letter from Mariupol or something, Lone Voice from Mariupol. And it's a guy who was in Mariupol until 2 weeks ago, talking about how when he finally was able to escape, the Russians pretty much kidnapped everybody. Like he and a very small percentage, like 10 or 15% of the people who were able to get out, chose to go to Russia because it was the easiest thing to do. And but even for him, it was the easiest thing to do because everywhere he went, he met Russia checkpoints where the Russians wouldn't let him go back into regular Ukraine. They wouldn't let him. So finally, he said, let's go to Russia. Well, everybody else who was with him didn't even know they were going to Russia. The Russians just took 85 to 90% of the refugees and against their will pushed them into Russia. So again, that's got the... God, you people are so bad. I wish there was a way of reporting these guys. That's the thing I don't... Like, we can block the users, but I wish you could, like... On my end, there's no way to report the spam, but I'm guessing on the actual YouTube end, you guys do. So please definitely report these losers. In any case, so yeah, what's up with the children? We don't know. It's bad. Obviously, it's bad. And I would not be surprised because we already know the Russians have been kidnapping people. So 2 final stories. So the woman who did the protest on Moscow TV, and a lot of people were a little suspicious of it, right? Little suspicious of it. But she did the protest where she came up with a sign that said no war. And people were saying, the evening news isn't live. The evening news is recorded. So that's what they say at least. So how did a woman get in there with the sign and they didn't cut it out? Then she goes to court and they hit her with like a $250 fine and let her leave. And this is a woman who barged into the most popular national news in Russia with a no war sign criticizing the government. And they hit her with only a $250 fine. I mean, just the whole thing's a little wacky, right? Well, Die Welt in Germany has hired her to be a war correspondent, and they've got her, of all things, covering Russia. Thank you. I see that, Oliver, covering Russia and Ukraine. And, maybe the woman's for real. And I am a big believer, and Caddy, thank you for that. I'm a big believer in welcoming people who do the right thing, because I think too many times we want the bad guys to like defect and join us. And then when they do, we go, you're a bad person. You've done bad things in your life. Well, yes, but if you're going to actually come over to the good guy side, I think we should welcome you. Having said that, this woman isn't exactly journalism material. She's been working for the propaganda industry in Russia for years now. And you're hiring her as a journalist and you're going to have her covering Ukraine and Russia? Like, I don't think so. Anyway, the final story. I'm throwing this one in for Colby. I always call you Colby. Colby, Casey, Colby. The latest on Russia's currency default. So remember, and a little complicated. I'll try to keep it easy, and then we'll get to the questions. But basically, Russia is in the process of defaulting on its foreign debt. The U.S. had frozen Russia's bank accounts like a month and a half ago. Well, for whatever crazy reason, we were letting Russia continue to access its money in our banks to pay off its debt. I have no idea why we were letting them do this. Yet another just sort of like, okay, can we just be a little bit tougher? Oh, no, thank you. Can we just be a little bit tougher on them? In any case, finally, last week, we decided no more. So we didn't let Russia access its dollars in U.S. banks anymore to pay for its debt. It tried to pay in rubles. The S&P, what's it called? S&P, I wrote it down, but whatever it's called. But it's the agency, S&P Global. which is the financial ratings agency that keeps track of this stuff, said that Russia is now in selective default. And that means you haven't defaulted on your entire loan, but you've defaulted on a part of it, because what they said is Russia tried to pay in rubles and the loan is in dollars. And by paying in rubles, especially in a market like this where rubles are pretty much frozen out of the market by the sanctions, you're making it so that the banks who are receiving the owners of the debt, you're paying them in a currency that they can't use, that they can't transfer into other currencies. So it's considered a default. It'll take 30 days for it to become an actual default. Then who knows what happens? It's complicated. It's not great for Russia's debt and its credit rating and everything else, but who knows what happens next. That's it. That's pretty good. It's decent. It's like I thought, 20, 25 minutes. All right, guys, baseball hats. I'm very happy for you. Keep throwing the hats at me. I got to figure out why I keep getting headaches about now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not eating right, but before I come on, I told you, I've been, ever since that nose surgery, I've been getting sinus headaches. Oh God, in my life, I've never had sinus headaches. And now I keep getting them. Thank you for the hat. I did go to the doctor the other day. He checked it out. He said, come back in 5 weeks. I'm like, all right. But I could tell, like, it's just like, oh God. They tried to open up the air passages. If they gave me a lifetime of sinus headaches, I'm going to be pissed. Still working on the taxes. We'll talk about that during the free time at the end. I will drink water. Okay, so I'm like, let me jump into the TikTok questions because we haven't done one of you yet. Already talked about the chemical weapons thing. Basically, the short answer, vinyl propyls, is we don't know. We don't know yet. Defense Department, U.S. has said they don't know. They're looking into it. The British Foreign Secretary said she doesn't know. They're looking into it. So we just don't know. We have a Ukrainian military unit who says it did happen. We need to know more. Now I'm getting the headache like here in my brow. It's annoying. So we just don't know. And I'm being cautious just because, we don't know. I mean, this stuff, it could be, it could not be, So Sky Queen, you do not have to pay for a question. You can just post a question. I just said that the people who do the super chat questions, you're helping support my work, so I appreciate it because I'm doing this. Bye-bye, Russia. It helps me out because I'm doing this full time, so you're helping support me. But also, if you do a super chat question, that's the first one I'll get to. Otherwise, I scroll around and look for questions, which is what I'm doing right now. And you see, you didn't even have to pay to ask me a question about asking a question. See, they are free. See? Oh, all the little Russians are coming. Don't make me block the word Russia on you guys. Crazy little Russians. Now we got the Russians going to YouTube. They suddenly discovered YouTube. Took you long enough. All right, if I don't, I did talk about the chemical. Chantal was asking. Don't know. So Kenneth Jensen's asks whether there's any legitimacy that a Russian soldier violated a toddler. Let's put it that way. What we do know is there was a video going around. It appeared to show it. I did not try to see the video. First of all, it's probably illegal to even have that video on your, you know what I mean? I wouldn't want that video on my computer to start with, but some pictures came up on TikTok or somewhere that were fortunately censored, so you couldn't see anything. But, I did see a toddler. I did see a soldier. I don't know. I haven't heard anything else about it, so who knows? But who knows? You'd think, I will say this, some of these stories, if they are confirmed or if it looks like they're really true, you should hear more about them. Something like that is so outrageous that if it's a true story, I think we'll see more about it. But, I'm not going to jump on it and do too much more else unless I see that it's, that it's been proven, just to be safe. Same thing with the chemical weapon story. We just don't know. And keep an eye on it. Let people know the rumor or the allegation is out there. But otherwise, at what point does the UN or U.S. step in? At no point does the UN step in, because the UN stepping in the United Nations requires the United Nations Security Council to authorize it, and Russia's on the Security Council, and Russia will say, no way, Jose. So that's bad. The U.S., God knows. I mean, the U.S. obviously has already stepped in, but in terms of the U.S., thank you for that, on TikTok, as far as the U.S. really upping the ante and saying, okay, enough's enough, I'm not sure they ever will. I think, unfortunately, I mean, I've got friends in the military who are worried as well. It's not just Biden, but unfortunately, Biden has determined that it is our number one priority not to get involved militarily, and we're going to keep making that clear. It's the same reason why, yet again, I think it was today, his administration got asked about genocide, and they said, "Well, we don't think specific words are important." And you're just going, "Oh my God." Well, actually, specific words are important when you're asked if something's genocide and you squirm. Then the specific word is very important, because when you squirm, you're sending a message that you're sending a message of weakness. And when other world leaders have called it genocide and you don't, then you make them look stupid. There is a weakness coming out, and I don't know why, but he's afraid. He's really afraid, and I'm sure maybe it's some intelligence analyst or something told him that if we do too much, Putin will start using nukes, and then all bets are off. I'm not convinced. It's frustrating me, but anyway. So I don't know when the U.S. steps in either. The U.S. is obviously very in, but this is critical right now. I'm just going to get rid of your question. This is critical right now that we do everything we can as this big battle is about to happen. Kimberly, who will be Russia's allies if it escalated to world conflict? North Korea, China, Syria, and the Middle East, of course. India would probably stay independent. China would want to side with Russia, but China also might want to be independent because China doesn't really need... I don't know. China's worried about business. China would probably love to watch, Europe and America and Russia kind of just go at each other. Having said that, even for China, they export so much to Europe and the US that if our economies get decimated, that doesn't really help China because they've just lost a big market for their goods. So I don't know, but I mean, there were 25 countries at the UN, more or less, who voted with Russia the other day when we were kicking Russia out of the UN Human Rights Council. So those would be the obvious allies. A lot of them just don't matter. I think most of them don't matter. I mean, Libya, Nicaragua, Nicaragua, Venezuela. I mean, no offense, but, I'm not worried about Nicaragua invading us anytime soon. North Korea's scary for everybody because of their nukes. China would be very bad. And the Middle East would be Syria. The rest of them, I'm not convinced. They may stay out of it or they'd be with us, I think. But Harvey weighing in, birthday boy. Opinions on Putin purging. There's some alliteration. Opinion, or consonants, as I believe it's called. Opinions on Putin purging 150 FSS Federal Security Service agents over the last few days. I did not hear that. Is he becoming paranoid about opposition in his government? Sounds like it. The only thing is, it depends. Okay, but the FSS, what are they exactly? Are they like Secret Service types? Are they secret agent types? You know what I mean? Like, which one are they? Because I'm thinking like they're not FSB, so it's not like they're analysts and things who got the war wrong, right? I mean, if Harvey or anybody wants to jump in, but who is the FSS in terms of, and I'm going to pull up Lori's question so I don't forget it. Who's the FSS in terms of, and another question. Okay, we'll get to that one next. Sorry, Harvey, if somebody wants to jump in on who the FSS is. I mean, don't pay for it. All right, Harvey, have a follow-up where you explain a little bit more about the FSS and what their role is. Lori Keene, sorry, and then I'll jump since I already pulled it up, be gone, and then I will get you next. Be gone, be kind. I'm thinking be gone, like Dorothy, like the wicked, or the Glinda the Good, be gone before someone drops a house on you. I don't like the sound of the new Billy Big Balls general that they've got. Yes, General Butcher. His nickname's the Butcher. What happens if Mariupol falls? Well, two things. Yes, the Butcher guy is really bad. He was their guy in Syria, and in Syria we know they had no problem along with the Syrians, using chemical weapons against people and all sorts of atrocities and attacking civilians left and right. So that is bad. If Mariupol falls, the biggest problem with Mariupol falling that everyone's saying is it frees up a lot of Russian troops. Mariupol, southeastern Ukraine, and you've got, more or less, okay, depending, I realize like it's backwards on one of these, but let's pretend this is the east of Ukraine. This is the area Russia wants to take. Further east is Russia itself. So this is the Ukraine part where the big battle is going to happen. Mariupol's right on the edge of it, on the sea. They want Mariupol so they can make this land connection to Crimea, which they stole years ago, right? But once, if they can capture Mariupol, then all the troops that were fighting around Mariupol can then move north and start fighting here. You know, because they're thinking the big fights are going to be kind of to the north of that region. Izumi. I say Izumi. That's funny. It's a Japanese name because I knew a woman named Izumi. It's kind of like Izumi is one of the names. And they're worried that it's going to free up more men to go up north and fight the Ukrainians. So that's not good. And if these men come north and other men come south, that it could even encircle the Ukrainian troops that are currently fighting in the east. No one knows if it will. But that's the concern of Mariupol falling. It could lead to sort of a domino of other things because it frees up the Russian troops to go north and raise hay. Who did I miss? Carol, I'm so sorry. McNeil or McNellum. Oh, that's okay. I was wondering why, if they can't get supplies to the troops in Mariupol. Well, excuse me. Carol's saying they can get supplies to the troops in Mariupol. Why can't they get the civilians out? I don't get it either. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't get it. I thought the same thing. Yeah, the civilians, the humanitarian convoys cannot get in and out of Mariupol. We know this. Not very well. Again, the story I published the other day on TikTok and on my Substack, a guy talking about how he escaped and it was not pretty. You know, hours in a river with a bunch of, because he didn't know how to swim, so hanging on to a bunch of people in a river for hours, like floating away from town. I mean, something just like a movie, crazy, right? But if the Ukrainian troops are able to be resupplied, how are they doing this? Now, the only thing is, I don't know whether they're being resupplied by land, by air. You know, it's possible because the Russians don't have air superiority that the Ukrainians are coming in and dropping supplies. Maybe. That's a weird, I'm with you though. I don't get it either. But clearly the aid groups, the Russians clearly have been controlling. Well, okay, here we go right here. The aid groups are coming in via the main roads. And we know the Russians are patrolling the main roads because that's how they're getting the aid groups. The military must be coming in through some land that they still control or something, is what I'm guessing. And frankly, maybe there's even some kind of underground tunnels or something that connect to where the troops are and connect outside, you know? But the military found some way that isn't conducive to the civilians, and I don't know why. I don't know. But good question, obviously. Miss FSB. That's different, Harvey. Asking questions while drinking or while having drunk, not good. Okay, so Harvey's question was saying that Putin had fired a bunch of FSB agents over the last several days. The FSB is basically the new KGB kind of. The KGB, as I recall, was broken into a couple different parts. One part for domestic is the FSB, but domestic kind of includes Ukraine. Because remember, you're dealing with a dictatorship, so they've got these creepy domestic services, you know, to patrol the people and everything. If a bunch of, but now the FSB is interesting because the FSB, from what I was reading, again, it's domestic, but it also has jurisdiction over Ukraine. So these agents, if in fact they got fired, they could have been fired as punishment for everything going wrong in Ukraine. You know, Putin may have just knocked out thank you, Jay-Cha and Jose for that. Putin may have just knocked out all the, pretty much everybody. Ali or All Show? I can't tell with the names. Sometimes they come so quickly for the duck. Thank you. But yeah, Putin may have just cleaned shop and gotten rid of everybody in his analyst section who got it wrong on Ukraine. Maybe, you know? Yeah, the GRU is the military intelligence. Somebody mentioned that. But I guess I did not see the story about these people being fired. So I'm just surmising if it's FSB, it very well could be that that Putin's just pissed about what happened in Ukraine and getting rid of the analysts who were on it. Or as Harvey said, it's also possible he did see. Thank you for that. My drag crown and the fireworks. Thank you. You know, it's also possible that that Putin did find a plot. And these were some of the people in the area of the coup plotter, and he's just getting rid of everybody and making it safer. You know, saying, I don't know who is and isn't part of the coup. Let's just fire the whole division or arrest the whole division, right? It is Russia after all. Elmo, thank you for that. I'm going to read this one correctly. Pavlo Pavlo, that's interesting. Pavlo Androshik. Androshik. Pavlo, that's interesting. That almost sounds like it would be Ukrainian because I think of Pavel, but I wouldn't think of Pavlo. That's interesting. And whenever I see, anyway, thank you for that. Whenever I see, I'll show this to the rest of you, at least on YouTube, who know Cyrillic. Whenever I see names that remind me of Russian names, but they're different, they've often been Ukrainian, like Dimitro instead of Dmitry, and Pavlo instead of Pavel. So it makes me wonder if you are Ukrainian. In any case, thank you for that. Anybody else who speaks these languages, let me know if I'm wrong. And Elmo, as always, you are fabu. Thank you. Let me jump to another TikTok question. One moment. And thank you for the hat. You know I love my sorting hat. I call that the Harry Potter hat. I don't know what it's in. Maybe it's just a witch's hat, but to me it will always be the Harry Potter sorting hat. I'm going to scroll down because everyone's asking about the chemical weapons, except that we kind of already went there. So that's tough. I mean, Jeff Kotskin or Jeff Scott Stern, I'm sorry, asks how will they verify if chemical weapons were used? I mean, I don't know. I will say there was a Twitter thread. Malcolm retweeted it, and a number of other folks did. One of the experts that was one of the chemical weapons experts was saying about like all the questions you ask and find out like was it a vapor? Was it liquid? Was it something else? What were the effects of it? Did it smell? What was like all of these different things? You're gonna have to have people who are like chemists in essence or experts go on site. Certainly, thank you for that. And the panda interview the people who were affected. See if do skin sample. They're probably going to do all sorts of blood samples, skin samples. Thank you for that, Pamela. Saliva samples. You're going to do everything to test them. And you're going to test the land. Like, okay, where were you? I mean, this is me surmising, like with my legal brain, where these guys were standing. Were they together? That's one thing I want to know. Where were they? Take me to the spot. And first of all, I would tell them right now, get soil samples immediately from the area you were. Take off your uniforms, put them in plastic bags, in separate plastic bags that you've sealed up shut. So, and then all that stuff's going to get tested chemically to see. So like, that's at least the basics of what I would imagine. Hey, Chuck. And thank you guys. I'm getting all these thank yous. I'm not leaving yet, but I'm getting all these. It froze. Tell me it didn't froze. No, it didn't freeze. Hold on. I'm going to see. Did it freeze or not? I'm seeing if sorry, 1 second, folks. See if anybody else says it froze on TikTok. Let's see. Not frozen. Okay, thank you. Somebody scared me. Frozen. I'm like, no, mom did not call. All right. Sorry. What's keeping some companies providing cloud-based services in Russia from cutting access? Service agreement breach concern? I'm not sure who. I mean, who's doing it? Well, boy, that gets into some really complicated law because even if you've got a contract, if there's government sanctions, the sanctions, I would think, take precedence over contract. Like that would be the way it would work, So I don't know kind of how that... I don't know. Now, I will say this. The sanctions don't cover everything because remember like at the beginning how the airlines were cutting off Russia, Boeing and Airbus. They cut off all the manuals that Russia would use to fix its planes, and they cut off the spare parts that the Russians need to fix, again, to fix their domestic airline fleet for their commercial traffic. That was something they chose to do. It wasn't in the sanctions. So I'm not really clear whether maybe, for some crazy reason, that's a service that isn't in the sanctions. Maybe it's also a service provided by a country that's being in the middle. Is it India? Is it China? So that would be sort of my question to figure out why it's still going on. Because China's not going to, you are Ukrainian. Oh, nice. Sorry, Pablo waited again. Whole family is still there. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I guess because I'm fascinated with Ukrainian because the names always seem to be, like I said, a Russian name that and then it's the first name, but then it's not. So like I said, Pablo, instead of, and God only knows, it took me long enough to learn the Russian pronunciation studying Russian, and I'm not good at it. I mean, a year of Russian, but the Ukrainian has me thrown for a loop. So yeah, so Pavlo, like you'd say Pavlo, but it could also be Pavlu, maybe? Pavle? I don't know. Anyway, nice to meet you. Thank you for that. Always interesting to sort of meet people. Debbie, thank you. And as always, if you guys meant to put a question and you forgot, feel free to obviously just put it like write all caps or something and let me know. Tree asked 2 questions if you're able to answer. Let me find Tree's questions. Debbie Thompson, super sticker. All right, let me go back and see. Now, the one thing I will tell the mod, sorry folks, I'm looking for the questions here on YouTube. It is very difficult for me to see questions that are not highlighted. Oh, I see Andrew. Let me do Andrew's first because I see this. If the question wasn't highlighted, I don't really see it because there's so many things going by. But if I can't find Trees, copy and paste it if you would below. If Russian troops were so ineffective, why are we so certain Russia's nuclear arsenal is fully operational? Seems possible much as old and inoperable. That's a question a lot of people have asked. The problem is we don't know. And if we don't know, all they have to have is one bomb working for it to cause a lot of trouble in Paris or Chicago or Washington, D.C., right? So unfortunately, we have to assume that their nuclear weapons are working. But you're right. A lot of their arsenal could be in bad shape because we know they haven't kept their military vehicles in good shape. The military seems to have stolen a lot of money. They could have easily just as well stolen money that was earmarked for the nuclear arms upkeep. You know, wires go bad, computer circuits go bad, motherboards. I mean, computer things just break. So actually, yeah, and even the launch stuff, hell, even the launch platforms could be broken, right? I mean, not just the computers, but the computer system used to do the launch. I mean, so no, you're right. The problem is tactically, I would say, or strategically, whatever, we don't have a choice but to assume that Russia's nuclear weapons exist and still work, because if we're wrong, it's the end of the world. So, there is that. Knock, thank you for that. I'm scrolling back here. Harvey, where was Terry? Okay, I'm guessing Terry's wasn't in color because I don't see it. No, I don't. So, okay, yeah, if somebody could copy, if Terry had one, copy and paste it again. I'm scrolling down again because then I can see it. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the cloud-based services. We got that. Andrews, Pavlo, I got you. Debbie, I'm just scrolling down again. All right, we're getting closer to Tree, or copy and paste them if you can, guys. I did see some Ukraine. Well, I mean, Tree was asking this. I did see Tree was asking any update on Ukraine troops being trained here in the U.S. Are they back in Ukraine? Did modern weapons from training go to Ukraine with them? I don't know any of that. Well, I do know that training was going on, and it was training that apparently was like already scheduled. Still, I heard it and I was like, "Well, that's kind of interesting. Already scheduled or not." It makes me wonder. Okay. My evil genius side would like to hope that we were training them in weapon systems that we're planning to give them, that we haven't given them yet, that we're realizing we're going to have to give something much more, and that hopefully we're going to be giving them much more. That's what I hope that is. It is also possible that we're just giving them more training on the weapons they've got, maybe using the javelins, which are like the anti-tank weapons. Maybe, I don't know, but with an additional week of training, maybe you can become 3 times as effective. So it's worth taking you away for a week. I don't know. It's possible. So it depends what they're being trained. They could also be being trained on chemical and, chemical, nuclear, and biological response in case those weapons get used. So I just don't know. I don't know. I would hope that it's a sign that we're somehow ratcheting things up a little bit. That would be my hope, that we're training them on something new we're going to give them that the world doesn't know about yet. All right, I've got Wendy here. Okay. Oh, and then, there you go. Yeah. So be kind. Thank you. I just got his then. Wendy, I haven't watched 60 Minutes yet. No, I've got it taped. Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, and thank you for the roses. Zelensky was on 60 Minutes last night, which is a big American TV show, one of the most famous. It's been around for 50 years now, at least. And It's an interview show, very serious, very objective, very in-depth. And they interviewed Zelensky last night, Sunday night. I taped it, but I haven't watched it yet. So I don't know. You thought it was strong? Good. I would imagine he would be strong, of course. I literally had it on for a minute this morning, and then the dog groomer came for Sasha, so I turned it off. and then I was working like online, finding my stories and stuff. But I don't know. I've got to watch it. I mean, I want to watch it anyway, so it's on my list, but I've not gone on there. Harvey. Oh God, I got a couple here. All right. Harvey asks, opinions on the British Labour Party leader, Sir Keir Starmer, who I've heard of, but good to remind me he's the Labour Party leader because I still would have gone, I know that name. Who's that? Calling for the Chancellor of the Exchequer. You know, you've always confused me with that Chancellor of the Exchequer. Is that the Finance Minister? I always forget that. They use funny names for their government bodies. It's better if they call lawyers barristers, but the Brits always have to make things difficult. So Chancellor of the Exchequer, I keep feeling like that's a finance thing, but please tell me. Called for his resignation after it was found his wife had connections to Russian companies and had worked the sanctions around them. Oh my. Wait, I saw something. No, this has got to be somebody else. There was another story in the last couple of days about some guy whose wife is like Indian or something, and they were using her overseas accounts or something. I don't know if that's the same story here, but I don't know. I mean, that's pretty wild. I mean, what could I say about it anyway? That's pretty wild, though, and pretty embarrassing. If you're a senior official, especially if that is the finance minister, I'm sure you're explaining or someone's explaining the question below. If the Chancellor of the Exchequer, but any government official would be bad if he's the finance guy, like basically our version of the Treasury Secretary is what I'm wondering. That would be pretty bad and pretty scummy too. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, you know, and also pretty idiotic too. Your husband's a senior British government leader and you decide let's just cheat on the sanctions when there's sanctions against genocide. I mean, you couldn't get any worse. Christopher C. asks, will Japan make a move soon to reclaim their land? He's talking about, most likely, the Kuril Islands in the north of Japan. Russia took them after World War II. Actually, I've got to read up on the Kurils. I haven't really studied them recently, but I know sort of Russia took them after World War II. Japan not thrilled about it. Russia and Japan, dispute it. And Japan, God bless their souls, decided to sort of saber rattle about it at the beginning of the Ukraine war and make some comments about, by the way, those are our islands. Like they put out a press release or something that freaked out the Russians. And I still think that happened because the U.S. put Japan up to it. Because basically we were trying to create a little bit of a diversion to make Russia, because Russia was moving all of its best troops to Ukraine. Why not do something out east, right, by Japan? Because Ukraine's on the west side of the country, Japan's on the east, and it's 11 time zones different. Thank you for the gifts on TikTok, by the way. It's 11 time zones different. So once your troops move, they're really far away, right? So why not do something like Japan, saying maybe we do want to take back our land. So the Russians have got to keep some of their best troops out east just in case. So it's brilliant, So I doubt Japan's going to do it. Although, frankly, no better time than the present in terms of freaking Russia out because Russia can't do it. My guess would be, though, the Biden administration, Biden would tell them, please don't do it because Biden's so worried about this whole thing going nuclear that, thank you for the rainbow flag. I like that one, Pamela. But Biden's so freaked about the thing possibly going nuclear that he wouldn't want to feel like Putin was being put in a corner and blah, blah, blah. Again, I think we could show a little more backbone to Putin, but nonetheless. Andrew Mason, I'm sure they can launch nukes, but we spend billions on systems to shoot down nuclear weapons. If few are operable, more likely we can shoot them down. Yes, I finally did some research on that the other day because you guys had brought that up before, and I wasn't really up on what the latest stuff was. Apparently, we're still not apparently, which I didn't even realize, we've got some ability to shoot down cruise missiles, which is interesting because and the Ukrainians have been doing it because cruise missiles initially were the missiles, they fly really low and they're hard to detect. The problem with the nukes is basically, from what I was reading with two problems. One, sub-launched nuclear missiles, good luck finding those because they're in submarines and they're hiding not the bottom of the sea, but probably 1,500 feet under the sea. You're never going to find them. or if you can find one sub, you're not going to find all the subs. Britain possibly has all of its nukes in subs, or certainly a hell of a lot. So you've got a lot of American nukes and a lot of British nukes in submarines. You can't find them. They're sitting there waiting. Now, either probably waiting not to go first, but to go second. So saying, if you ever attack our territory with nuclear weapons, we will then use our submarines that you'll never be able to catch. So you will never be able to wipe us out completely, which means you should never attack, period. Right? So they're saying, first of all, you won't get the nukes. So there's no way to stop them. And Russia's got them in the same thing, in submarines. So there's no way to stop those. Those are always going to hit. Second of all, the weapons take off the ones that are land-based missiles, ICBMs especially. So the ICBMs come out and they go up into like orbit and come down. I forget what they call it, suborbital. There's some expression for it, which basically means like they would pretty much go more or less like out of Russia over the North Pole and then down to America, like via Canada. And they're so high up, going so quickly. There's no, the speed I read was like a mile a minute, I think, which is more a kilometer and a half a minute for you Europeans. It's going so quickly, it's hard to hit. It's so high up, it's hard to hit. And what the conclusion I read was, if you're going to go after the land-based missiles, which is probably what you need to do, you pretty much have to get them right when they're coming out of the silo, because that's the easiest time. But again, you don't know when they're coming out of the silo exactly, but you need to get them coming out of the silo. Oh, the other thing was, because once they get into that higher orbit, they can break into 22 more bombs. I don't know if it was 20 or 22, but I was right. Russia still has MIRVs, which are multiple independent reentry vehicles. It's the scary concept where basically one big nuclear ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile from Russia or America, has a warhead on top, but that warhead is actually breaks open and there are 20 independent, or 22 independent warheads inside, and they're each one's guided separately. So all of a sudden it takes off, and one goes for Chicago, and one goes for, Dallas, and one goes for New Jersey, and one goes for New Orleans. And all of a sudden it's like, doo, 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 doo. So good. You can't, then you've got 20 targets from one missile. Anyway, my reading was, as we all sort of suspected, we can't do a lot to shoot down nuclear weapons. So, again, you'd have to assume how many they have that work, and then assume how many we can hit down, because the problem with nukes is one goes through and, is losing Chicago a welcome casualty, or losing New York, meaning we were to start the war, like we were to start it to go nuclear. Yeah. Anyway, that's my take on the nuke thing. I think both sides realize and should figure skating daily. I thought it said daily. Thank you. I think both sides realize that, the nuclear option is stupid, because we're going to lose everybody if that happens, which is also why I think it's obnoxious to always hear us constantly pandering about Putin. Oh, he might use nukes. Why doesn't Putin sit around and say, hey, Biden might use nukes? Nobody's going to use nukes. I get Putin uses it as actually, I will say this. I think there's a greater chance of Putin using nukes now, because we've been so weird about it. We've been so scared about Putin elevating, and we've said so many times that, oh my God, we can't afford to get into a war with Russia because it'll be nuclear, that I think it almost makes him more likely to use nukes, because he'll use it in Ukraine and say, as long as you don't attack me, I won't use them on you, Poland. America, I won't use my nukes on you if you don't get involved with me when I use my nukes on Ukraine. And then we're going to have our government go, well, we know it's really bad to use nukes, but, nuclear war. No, this whole thinking thing, I'm sorry. I was almost going to say I'm more hawkish. I don't even think I'm more hawkish. I just feel like I'm more realistic on this thing. I just think Putin psyched us out. Be kind. So Figure Skating Daily said, what would have to happen for NATO to enter Ukraine? Well, this is what we keep talking about. I said from the beginning that I still feel like it has to be something over the top horrific. And even though you think that's happened, it hasn't happened. It would be, for example, the video we had coming out of Syria, when you had fathers carrying their young, I remember a father carrying like the young boy that was 3 years old with just wearing his pants and his shirt was off and just lifeless in his arms from the chemical weapons attack. And the parents are screaming, you need something like that, It was the video of the attack and the kids trying to save them. It was so horrific. That's what you'd need. And even then, I'm still worried. As I just said, I'm worried even if he used a nuke in Ukraine, that we'd find some excuse to stay out. I just think we've psyched ourselves out against this guy, So, but I think that's what it's going to be. It has to be something. So, and Bucha was horrific, but we didn't have video of the crimes happening. We didn't have a video of 50 people lined up and shot. I mean, it needs to be something on the order of those poor kids getting gassed in Syria. And it's not good. It's not good that we've even got to craft these scenarios and try to find something as if this hasn't already been horrific so far, but anyway. Starry. I don't know. I've not heard anything. Are they talking about new ships arriving in the Black Sea? I don't know about that. Weapons don't have to come through the Black Sea, so to speak, because Russia's on the Black Sea. So like Russia could put new weapons on its boats coming out of you got the Black Sea. You can, Russia's boat goes to docks, gets weapons, comes back. Now the boat has weapons, right? And can resupply Crimea. It can resupply any of the land that it's already taken. So I don't know about anything new though. And we still need to look into, I'll write myself a note. We've still got to look into Turkey and whether it did or did not cut off the Bosporus. I always forget, but that's straight. Because they claimed they did because of the treaty, but that was a month ago. And you don't hear anybody talking about it, though. You don't hear anybody talking about anything with sort of that area. Angela? Finland had a Russian cyber attack and an airspace breach 3 days ago. Any thoughts on this as they want to join NATO? I read something today. I thought something just happened, too, today, I thought. Maybe the 3 days ago was for it, but because of the news yesterday that came out or this morning, whatever it was, that Finland was closer to joining NATO, that the Russians did something else today. Well, they threatened certainly, but I thought they did something. Russia is worried that Finland is going to join NATO, and Russia is trying to scare them. The thing is, how do you? I mean, this is one of those things. Hold on a second. It reminds me of the early days of the internet, when there was a big discussion as to, should I write on a big website like joining someone's blog? Should I join somebody's blog for free because it can give me amazing exposure as like an unknown writer, but I'm not being paid? Or should that person pay me to write on their blog? When it's kind of of course you want to be paid, but it's kind of a weird thing of like, which one gets the Google? Like there was an initial thing about like whether you had to pay to be on Google, like which one's getting the benefit? Well, I look at it sort of this way too with the Finland thing, which is, are you scaring Finland, or are you scaring Finland away from joining NATO, or are you provoking Finland to join NATO when you do cyber attacks and breach their airspace with your Russian jets? If it were me, I'd be like, okay, now I'm even more scared about these losers next door. Please, NATO, come and help us. That's what I would think. Now, my guess is Russia's trying to send some signal like, oh, we'll come and get you before Finland. If you try to join NATO, we'll get you the day before when NATO isn't going to defend you. I did see some talk today from NATO officials saying something like, more or less, they were saying that, if it was a done deal and it just hadn't happened yet, that NATO would protect them or something like that. That's saying we wouldn't necessarily wait until the day the treaty's signed. If it was agreed we're doing it, then the protections might start from that moment, because otherwise you are inviting war. If you say, okay, the deal's done, Finland and Sweden are joining, and we're going to sign the treaty in 2 weeks. Well, you're inviting Russia to bomb in the next 2 weeks then, right? So I had read that hopefully that is going to be a part of it. But here's the other thing, and this is like the nuclear war thing, like, or Russia getting us in the war. Russia's losing to Ukraine at this point. You think they want NATO in their war? They don't want NATO in their war. So, he wants a war with Finland in the north now? Really? With everything else going on? Excuse me, when they don't have enough troops in the south? In the southwest? He doesn't want a war with Finland and Sweden. And Finland and Sweden, apparently, I was reading, Finland's got like I'm sure Sweden does too, but Finland's got like a lot of really nice weapons, apparently, like some of the aircraft and other things that are really good. But they were saying that both countries joining NATO wouldn't be very difficult because it's not like we'd have to upgrade their military because they've got great militaries. So Putin's an idiot if he attacks them. But again, Putin is playing a psychological game. And he's trying to convince these countries that he's the big bad guy. And if you're not nice to him, that he's going to come get you. So let me see here. All right. No, it's okay. I mean, I'm not too worried about, be kind. I'm seeing about the all caps thing. Yeah. It's better not to use all caps, but it's not the end of the world. See, Moon Mia used it and that's okay. Because she's sort of making a rah-rah kind of thing. All right, time for a TikTok question. I meant to leave you guys here. Sorry. Well, not yet. Lucy Kemp asks, will Putin rebuild the cities he's destroying? That's all going to be a matter of what kind of peace treaty is signed and whether Russia will owe reparations, right? After World War II, Germany or World War I as well, Germany had to pay reparations, but that's because they lost, right? If you're a total loser in the war, then it's easier to go after somebody. But it's a lot harder if it's a negotiated settlement, because if Russia ends up grabbing some parts of Ukraine, and thank you, Maria, for that. If Russia ends up grabbing some part of Ukraine and you're trying to negotiate, Russia's going to say, well, you want to come after me or you want me to pay them? I'm not paying them. Then if you're making me pay them, then I'm not going to give them the land back. The problem is Russia almost needs to lose something in this war, because why should they even negotiate? If all we have is Russia controlling Ukrainian land, why should Russia ever settle? Except for the fact that if Ukraine's able to beat them enough, they don't have more troops, they're losing money, people back home are getting upset. You need a lot of other factors kicking in. But yeah, I don't know. I do know, but I'm tired. Sorry about that. Ever since the war started, I'm sleeping less well. I'm assuming it's like everybody else. You don't realize COVID was this way too. I didn't realize COVID was getting to me, but all of a sudden I wasn't sleeping as well. And I noticed it. It was kind of funny. It was like, okay, maybe it's getting to me a little bit. Well, it depends. Here, this is funny you asked this. So Sosa Sosig asked, why would anyone side with Russia? What's to gain? Well, I was looking at that today. For example, India, there's trade involved, right? Because Russia's right there. So they've got a lot of the economic interest, but also India has a lot of defense interest. They're close to Russia. India is worried about China. Russia helps provide weapons to India. So India doesn't want to tick off Russia. So you get these, each country has their own strategic interest in why, even if it's bad, even if they know they're like India, that they're coddling genocide, they're still worried about their own genocide, so to speak. Meaning, if their country gets taken over because they just lost the guy who was going to defend them because they took him on. So it's real realpolitik, or Machiavellian politics, you almost could call it, where it's you kind of have to worry about your own strategic interests, even though you may not like what the bad guy's doing. You may still have to suck it up and work with him if you feel like the existence of your country is on the line. Oh, that's funny. Who knows? That's funny though. Chris Terrical. Do you think Zelensky will run for president again? He's going to be awfully tired after this time, right? That's for sure. That's for sure. Then again, he'll probably be wildly popular, which is interesting. But I don't know. But I would imagine, boy, he'd be exhausted. But you know what, too, though? If they end up not losing the war, or being utterly destroyed, Ukraine's going to need to rebuild, and it would be kind of nice to, I would imagine, to have Zelensky as the guy to help them rebuild, because you've got somebody who everyone trusts and everyone believes in, and everyone can rally around, and it might be, and frankly, all the world leaders. My God, Zelensky is now credibly, thank you for that. I would guarantee you Zelensky is the most well-known Ukrainian president in history in terms of his relationship with leaders of the world. You know, I mean, there's no way the British prime minister had this kind of a relationship with previous Ukrainian prime ministers. No way. Or American president or anybody else. There's no way. They probably talked to them once, you know, when they first took office, gave them a courtesy call, and that was it. Whereas so Zelensky also is good in that regard too, where he now knows all these leaders. He knows so many people from around the world. He'd be the perfect guy to keep helping out, really. So I think he should. I think he should run again. Maria McCarthy, sorry, Mr. Question. Do you think there's any chance that Russian citizens could turn against Putin, or are they completely trusting of the propaganda? Everything I'm reading, people don't think the Russian citizens are going to be the ones leading the revolt. They do believe the propaganda. That's one big problem. People, I don't know if it's over the age of 50 or whatever, but older people get their news from the TV stations. They don't get it from the web, from the internet. I mean, the internet's cut off anyway now, but that's going to be a big problem because they're hearing the news and they're believing it. And God, it's also, I think, because the older people maybe grew up in the Soviet years, and ironically, it may have even trained them to like buy into the BS propaganda and everything. The kids have been finding ways around the internet. So younger people, one hopes know what's going on, but can they? I don't know. Hold on a second, Jason. I know, but I don't know, guys. I'm not sure what people are doing with the all caps. Try not. The thing with all caps is it depends. If you're always doing all caps, it does sound like you're screaming. It's hard to read if you're always doing all caps. Occasionally, like Munmia's, doing it now. That's kind of. I mean, occasionally it doesn't bother me. So I don't think that's such a problem. Oh, that's weird. Sorry, Walford. Let me see. So yeah, I mean, thank you, Jason, for saying that. Yeah, mods. I mean, it's not worth getting into a big argument over it. But I think it's just fine to let people know. But don't worry too much about it. So yeah, I don't. But nobody really thinks the Russian people are going to turn. Some of the concern was whether the Russian security apparatus, like these FSB people that Harvey was talking about, who Putin just got rid of, that basically some of the internal security people are such. They have such a history of protecting the state that they're going to get upset that Putin has destroyed the military, ruined Russia's reputation abroad. He's in the process of destroying the economy. Thank you for the TikTok gifts, by the way. That he's doing so much damage. And my God, what if another war does break out because some country looks and says, thank you for that, because some country looks and says, look how poor and, look how bad Russia's military is. Let's go get them. So that's where the risk comes to Putin, something like that happening, where somebody at the higher levels is able to pull it off. But Putin is a very effective dictator. Not clear they can pull it off is the thing. Anyway, so that is a concern. Okay, there we go. So I just put that one up. Sorry, looking to see. Well, actually, the other thing with all caps, I will say this, though. The other thing with all caps that is more helpful for me is I've asked the moderators to try to use all caps sometimes to signal to me that it's a post I have to look at, because sometimes they do fly by and I don't see them. And actually, it's still kind of hard to, because there's more on TikTok, but there's still a lot of questions. So that's the only reason why sometimes I don't like all caps, because it kind of pulls my eye away. But in any case, let's not fight over it, guys. Now, that's weird. You got banned from TikTok. That should not have happened. Wolford Photography should not have been banned from TikTok. How weird. I will do a quick look, because we're almost at the end here anyway, guys. Let me look. I don't know that I can do that here. Let me look really quick, but I don't think I can. Oh. Blocked accounts. I think I can. Hold on. We're going to have so many blocked. There's no way I'm going to have to go to your account and, oh, I found you. How weird. I don't know why you were blocked. How bizarre. Okay, you're back. Sorry about that. I will say that, there's such a slew of, anyway, again, sort of moderating in general for folks, just to know it's very hard to do. I've been doing it since 1998 was the first time I had to moderate a forum online. And it's very hard, because either you get people with a lot of passion and a lot of arguments and stuff, and you kind of are trying to stop them from, hating each other arguments, and you're trying to kind of calm it. You don't want to ban them, because they're more having like a political fight, but they're not bad people, but they're angry. So you get into that. Or you've got like this where the horrific haters keep coming in and you don't always know who's a hater and who's a, yeah, thank you for that. I just saw about my hair. Thank you. You don't know who's a hater and you don't know who's somebody that said something. For example, one person actually emailed me. This was kind of fun, not funny, but funny. Yeah, I just unbanned you. You should be fine, Walford. But somebody, you didn't have to pay for it, but thank you. You could have emailed me too. But somebody had said something on TikTok, and I told her, I said, that's exactly what happened. She said something like, he's crazy, and she meant, or he's an idiot, and she meant Putin. But by saying he, one of the moderators, I think, thought she meant I'm an idiot, and she got blocked. So sorry. It's just, as you've seen, especially I think the TikTok folks appreciate it. There's so many of these guys. The Russians do not like me. The Russians do not like this channel, which, should be my badge of honor. That I apologize. It's very hard to sort of keep track of this stuff. All right, good. I'm glad we figured that out with Walford. Harvey, they did not. Harvey Kittle, just been reported. Now who reported it though? Because I'm kind of curious. Like the other day, you thought something was the BBC, but it actually was a lesser entity than the BBC reporting. It might have been Sky News or somebody else. One of the stories from the other day. So it just depends because, like, I trust BBC a little bit more, or New York Times. Just been reported that the Russians have placed mines under the foundations of the sarcophagus surrounding Reactor 4 at Chernobyl. No way. Okay, what Harvey's saying now. This is one of those things where we've got to. That's what I'm saying. Like, you've got to see the story. You've got to see what paper it's in. I want to know who's saying this. I mean, if it's a Ukrainian official, it might be true, but I'd want, like, is it Zelensky saying it? Is it somebody working? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just, my sort of lawyer/media gut kicks in and I'm like, I want to know more before I believe a story like that. It's possible, but I'd want to, I'm sorry. So the story Harvey is saying is that there's some report that the Russians placed mines, like landmines, personnel mines, whatever, under the foundations of the sarcophagus surrounding Chernobyl. So basically, Chernobyl nuclear plant, 1986, melts down. Worst nuclear accident in the world's history. Even today, it's the worst accident ever. It's a nuclear core meltdown, the worst thing that can happen in a nuclear plant. And what they've done in the end is they built up, they're literally calling it a sarcophagus, like the ancient Egyptian sarcophagus that they would put the coffin in or even the body. I always forget, sarcophagus is the sarcophagus is the person thing, not the vault it's in. But either way, the thing you got the body in, and they did a cement sarcophagus that is encasing the reactor to keep the radiation in. And oops, now I'm getting cold. And the question is, if they were to mine it, to have it blow up, that would at the very least cause a nuclear bomb, but who knows what else it could possibly do. Just spread the radiation everywhere. That would be horrific. So yeah, that will absolutely have repercussions if it's true. Having said that, as we've said before, I kind of feel like, I'm not sure what Russia has to do now for NATO to kind of get off its butt. It's really, we're helping, but I still feel like we're half helping. We're half helping. So John Kirby, the Defense Department spokesman, apparently, according to Porlda, says he's concerned with Russia using riot control agents that may be mixed with chemical agents. Interesting. I'm sure that must have just happened if it was in response to that. Yeah. Yeah, CNN and the U.S. News could be behind, but I'm not convinced they're behind. They may also be being careful about reporting stuff, for example, none of them were reporting the chemical weapons news because I think they, like I saw it and went, I did a video on it, but my video was very clear that I felt like maybe it's true. It may not be. It may be. It's something the Russians would absolutely do, but I'm not convinced from the initial report that it was a chemical weapon yet, and we need more information. And I could see the American news doing that. BBC would be legit. Yeah, that BBC saying that? Get out of here. Okay, we'll have to. Sky News and BBC. Wow. All right, guys. We're at the. You know what? We're at the end of the Q&A anyway. This is the time that we end up hanging out for about 15, 20 minutes and just chatting for fun. You are free to stay. People seem to like it. Usually the TikTokers, like 1,000 of you end up hanging out and chatting. It's funny. YouTubers, you guys know you stay. The YouTubers are a clickier bunch. So feel free to hang with us. But yeah, I'm going to pull up this article as we're all talking. Chlorine gas confirmed. Yikes. All right, now we got two big scary stories. And of course, my iPad is very slow. It's an iPad I got in 2015 when I was living in New York, and I love it. It's a little slow, but I love my little baby, and I'd rather not pay $500 or $600 for a new iPad until I have to. All right, hang on. Let's open this because now we're in the chat amongst ourselves phase, so I have no problem. But yeah, thank you guys, and thank you. You don't need to stay, everybody. Obviously, too. I'm thanking the TikTokers, but let me pull. All right, let's say Ukraine. Here, I'll use my little stand. All right, come on. Here we go. All right, news. Jeez, they're really horrible headlines. Russian soldiers raped me and killed my husband. I'm sorry, I'm using that word again. Sorry, TikTok. Not supposed to use the word. Oh, thank you, Marion. I always forget you're in here. That's a friend of mine. If it's who I'm thinking, don't freak me out knowing my friends are watching. I'm still trying to find this. Let me go to New York Times. You see BBC. Let me go to BBC then. See what they're saying. War in Ukraine. Hell, we could just do this for an hour. Pull up news stories and, okay, this is a lot of... Yeah, UK checking chemical weapons claim. Okay, that's from 60 minutes ago, so that's what we thought. They don't know yet. Chernobyl. Okay, I'm not seeing anything on their homepage here. We stole Russian fuel to prevent disaster. That's good. Let me do Chernobyl mine and see what comes there. Chernobyl miners. No, I don't care about Chernobyl miners, Google, but thank you. Chernobyl mine. All right. Now we're at the just hanging out phase of this where I do not necessarily answer any more questions, but we just hang out and chat amongst ourselves. So, I chat with you too. Sasha is in bed at the moment. We had a nice walk today. It was a gorgeous day in DC in the 60s. So Sasha got quite the little walk. So I think she's taking a break. But usually this is the time when she kind of wakes up and wants to, also because this is the time that she gets her teeth brushed. And she hates getting the teeth brushed, but she really likes the little toothpaste because it tastes like peanut butter. So that always kind of helps. But and then she gets a treat afterwards. So that's what particularly helps. Russians leave signs in Chernobyl reading, "Look for a mine." Zelensky. Oh, well, no. Zelensky said, we know that. Okay. So I'm still not seeing this on a reputable news source, but I'm seeing that supposedly a sign was left behind saying, "Look for a mine, expect a surprise," is what I'm seeing. A Ukrainian official fears. So graffiti signs reading, "This passage is mined and expect a surprise. Look for a mine we're left behind." So it's possible. It's also possible they're being jerks, at least from what I'm seeing here. I'm also not thrilled at some publication called Metro in the UK because I don't know who that is. Maybe you folks do, but it looks tabloidy. Yeah, so... Okay, so at least what I'm able to find right now, unless you guys found, I didn't find a BBC, what you guys found right now, it looks like, as I said, a Ukrainian official said there was graffiti suggesting maybe we left you a mine, right? But you see how, thank you, by the way. I love getting the hat, so please keep doing it, but love it. This is what I was telling you. Yeah, happy birthday, Harvey. I keep wishing Harvey a happy birthday. This is why I was saying thank you when I heard the story that you kind of have to dig deeper because now it's a Ukrainian official said, "Ooh, multi things going on. Thank you, dog, hat, hearts." TikTok. Now you've got one Ukrainian official. We don't know who. And what the official is alleging is that a Russian left graffiti saying there might be a mine, right? That's a lot different than somebody found a mine. And anyway, that's my point why I think because it's a rag. I assumed it is. I've done politics for so many years that I've learned when to be careful. Like, I mean, not that I'm not always careful. And I do love that little solar system. That's even a solar system. That's a universe. No, that's a galaxy. Silly. It's not the universe. It's a galaxy. I'm a big science guy. You can't see it. Back of my phone, I've got a phone thing that's the like stars and the stuff on the back of it, which I really like. In any case, yeah. So that's why I always say be careful with the stories. You've got to kind of look more closely at the details. And it's also why you're going to find me be skeptical sometimes when people get annoyed that I am skeptical, like I am of the chemical weapon thing. Still may be true. It may be. But, we don't always know. Whereas, it also depends who's saying it. Like Zelensky says, yes, we found the mines, then I'm going to trust Zelensky that he's not going to lie about it. That I'm going to have much more confidence in. But what else? Oh, well, that's good. Tree Robitai, who I will never figure out what your name actually is, if it's multiple or what. I know how to say Tai because I speak French, and Robitai. Tree Robitai is weird. I realize, is that two things you put together? I don't know. Thank you for the heart. I shouldn't say weird if it's your name. Not so weird. But yeah, it's also good to know what paper it's coming from and stuff. Because like I said, I would trust the BBC. Times of London, I would tend to trust. Thanks for the glasses. More careful with others. I certainly trust the big American papers. Still doesn't mean they're right. They can get stuff wrong. But, hey, birthday party for Harvey. Somebody's giving you a birthday party at their house on TikTok, Harvey. Thanks for the glasses. That was cute. For your birthday on TikTok. You've got suitors. And thank you for the heart. Very funny. What else is going on, folks? No more war talk. This is the most. I think we've got 1.3 thousand still, or 1,300 still hanging out on TikTok. This might be our TikTok record for folks just hanging out afterwards. So always good. Oh, that sucks. Mina's immune mobilized. Well, and now they're talking about COVID coming back again. What was it? I've played Xbox before. I've got like an old one. I don't play it much though. Thanks. I like the glasses. I like computer games, and I was saying this the other day, role-playing games. I like Dungeons and Dragons type games. So like, Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, things like that. I find very exciting. I love those kind of games. But Xbox didn't do it for me. I did get the final, Final Fantasy, what the hell's it called? On was it Xbox? I don't even remember anymore. Whatever, which I bought the one that's on. It was okay. I didn't love it. I find them more complicated on the computer. I like it, Good night, Carrie. Good to see you. Actually, I should put on my little glasses because then I can see your TikTok stuff better. I've not done. The only time I did virtual reality, I got sick to my stomach for 2 hours. I had some virtual reality headset on for 15 or 20 minutes, and literally my stomach was flipping for 2 hours. But this was back in 2016. I don't know whether they've gotten better. They were the Oculus ones, but I don't know if they've gotten better. But oh my God, that made me sick. My nephew was telling me about it. Like apparently it's a thing, but I don't know if it's a thing that, it wasn't adjusted right or the video, whatever. But oh my God, I got sick. And then I got over it, but 2 hours of like, ooh, not happy. What else we got? Favorite food, chocolate, anything chocolate. Desserts, especially. Gooey American desserts make me happy. I record 60 Minutes because I've got Comcast as my cable TV. So the box, it comes with a box. On the box, you're able to tape your shows on. So I just tape it there. Chocolate, but chocolate for me, it's cooked and stuff. So like, Sasha on TikTok. Well, Sasha today, I just put up a quick video because it was finally the really nice, beautiful day, sunny, warm. And she loves to go sit on this little couch that some neighbors gave me a few years ago. And it's the perfect little couch because I'll even sit there occasionally, but she loves it. It's her little spot. She goes and sits on it. It allows her to sort of stand up and look over the edge to see the neighbors better because Sasha's 10 pounds. She's small. But she also loves and she was sitting there. The wind was coming at her. So it was kind of like this. I should have put it in slow motion. It was like this, her photo moment. It was very cute. So I put it up. You can see on TikTok. I didn't do too many videos today. I meant to do more. What was I doing today? I was doing I think because the hair groomer was here. Sasha's groomer was here. And I didn't want to my hair routine. The hair stuff is funny, though. I think I may get it cut it off at my sister's. I've been going to somebody new. I had a great person for doing my hair. And he ended up being a jerk. After like 15 years of going to this guy, he flipped out at me one day. And I mean, literally, and I was like, I think he was drugged up or he was something. I mean, he was messed up. But he was so good at cutting my hair. And thank you for that. But one day, he's supposed to be in at 1. And I get a call at 1:45. And the guy at the hair salon is like, hey, John, what's his name he said, what's his name is notoriously late. If you're the first guy of the day, he goes, don't even bother coming here at 1. I suggest you come here at 1:30. And I'm like, half an hour? He said, yeah. I said, all right. I said, you're sure? He goes, oh, trust me. He goes, he won't be here. So I said, all right. I get there at 1:30. He's still not there. And I'm sitting there, my hair's wide. I mean, I'm like waiting for him. It's now 2:00 and he's still not there. So I've been waiting for it's an hour after my appointment and I've been waiting there for half an hour. I told the guy at the front desk, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm pissed. This is ridiculous. Why that? Like, I mean, I can, it's because he said it's not an emergency. I'm like, if he's got some family emergency, I get it. We'll reschedule. But like, he's just screwing around at home. Well, this ass comes in like 5 or 10 after the hour. And I at that point, I was going to tell him that's it. Comes up to me. The first thing he says is, I heard you were pissed at me. And he gets in my face. And I looked at him and I went, I think what you meant to say was, I'm sorry I'm so late. There's no excuse for it since it wasn't an emergency. And I hope you'll forgive me. And he's just getting, and I'm kind of pissed. He goes, you don't need to raise your voice. So he's one of these people. And it drives me nuts because some people do this. And they do it to you to try to get the when they're the ones that are wrong, but they're trying to throw it at you, you raised your voice. I'm like, yeah. And anyway, so I just had it with the guy. And he kept going back. I was going to hit me. I was just like, get away from me. I said, there is no way I'm ever coming to you again. Because he goes to me, well, if you're not happy, find somebody else. And I looked at him and went, do you honestly think I'm coming to you again? Are you insane? I said, I don't even know what's wrong with you, but you're crazy. Well, anyway, went to another guy. They all told me, they all were like, no, we saw the whole thing. Don't worry. So anyway, but the new guy was okay. He didn't do a great job. I didn't like what he did. And within a month, I needed a haircut. And I'm like, I get my haircut every 2 to 3 months. I don't want a haircut within 3 weeks. This latest guy is interesting, but it depends. Like I've got a lot of product in it today, so it's behaving more, but I don't like to use as much product. He's trying to make it longer. And he's trying to do this thing where like it's, leaving me longer bits because he thinks my hair can go back and be wavy long. I think having my hair for more years than I'm willing to admit to you, that when my hair gets long, it just gets bigger. It's not quite an afro, but Greeks, you don't see Greek statues with long flowing hair. You see the Greek men just like mine. It's like John F. Kennedy hair. It gets like this and it just gets bigger. So even like this right now, he just cut it like a week ago. And it's already, this is why I keep putting my fingers through it. It's already kind of just getting big up here. So I think I'm going to finally go to the lady. And he's mean. This is the guy who's a part-time drag queen who's just kind of mean to me. This time, he's the one who, when I was like sitting like this, he was doing my hair. I guess you kind of slump as you're getting your hair done. He hits me on the back and says, sit up straight like a man. And I mean, I laughed, but I was kind of like, dude, you need to realize who's in charge here. I'm paying you $40 for this damn thing. So anyway, but no, it's fine. It's annoying me because it's annoying anyway. I thank you, but I don't mean to be like fishing for compliments, but it's getting on my nerves. Anyway, you can find me. My email address is mylastname@gmail.com. You can just email me there. I did have a haircut. I had it a week ago. That's what I'm saying. It's still To me, this is still way too long. Because I've got curly hair. It's curly. And that was the other thing. I said, I've got curly hair. You don't have curly hair. You have wavy hair. There's a difference. And I just kind of wanted to go like, dude, no, this is the new drag queen. I'm like, stop it. Like, not to mention it is wavy hair that gets curly. Like if you wet my hair and kind of just go like this, it's going to be curls everywhere. But apparently that's waves everywhere in drag land. I was not aware. But no, I go to the hair cuttery, which I really have always loved. Not hair cuttery. What do I say? Hair cutter. It's not the hair cuttery. I go to like a hair salon that has a lot of people here in town, not too far away. And I just kind of go to anybody because how do you even find good people? You know, there's a woman back in Chicago who's pretty good. My sister uses her. So I go to her. She's pretty good. She's not perfect. The problem is, like I said, this guy was great, but he ended up being a moron, a jerk. I mean, the previous guy. I had a great guy in New York. There's a Chelsea Barber. They're right in Chelsea on 23rd Street. And they've even got the barber pole, and they're a bunch of former Soviet. Thank you for that. I'm actually going to probably make a brownie after, I think. They're former Soviet. We talked about this the other day. I Googled and saw where they were from. They may be Uzbek of all things. And they're a small Jewish community within Uzbekistan or something that's pretty well known. Like when I mentioned it on my blog once, everybody knew who I was talking about. But these guys they're a riot. They're great guys. And they play good, cool music and stuff. And of course it's New York City. So like my haircut was $17 for the best haircut of my life. And they're hilarious. They don't even wash your hair. They just take it the way it is. And it's fabulous when you're done. I mean, amazing guys. But I moved and that's the way it is. Yeah, it just gets thick and heavy. That's how I describe it. He was asking me and I said, it's just too long and thick. He goes, that was it too. Is it thick or long? I'm like, how the hell do I know? Like, I don't do hair. But is it thick or long? I said, it just gets like this. What do you want? So yes, I think I need to go to somebody else. I'm going to find like a day that he's not there and try somebody else. But it's been really frustrating because it's with curly hair or whatever hair I have, it's hard to find somebody who can, because like what I want is I like it kind of like this should be shorter here. This should be longer here. And that way you can get kind of it can flow a little, but it's still short enough that it's not crazy, but you can get some nice flow. You can get some nice curls. And see, now I've been messing it too much now. So now it's just like doing stuff, but I'm very unhappy. Everybody loves their own. I mean, everybody loves somebody else's hair, especially when it's like mine, like it's big and messy. Everybody thinks it's great. And to me, it always feels like it's, craziness, but that's our own issue with hair. We all feel like our hair is crazy. All right, guys, stop. Don't go fighting. Stop arguing over the caps thing, everybody. All right, everybody stop it. All right, stop fighting, kids. Anyway, all right, another minute or two, and then I'm going to go, guys. I'm tired. Oh, yeah, do follow me. Thank you. I'm looking at Jonathan John, who was just following me on TikTok. I keep realizing I keep forgetting you guys to ask you to follow me. Thank you. You know what I need to do, actually? I do need to do a cooking video, too. I need to treat this like radio, which I keep forgetting, especially with TikTok, where people kind of come in and out a lot. Maybe YouTube, too. I don't know. But with radio, that's why pretty much every 10 minutes, it's like they call it a reset or something. You're listening to the John Aravosa show, or whatever. But thank you for that. They do it because new people are coming in. So the idea is like every 2 minutes ago, just a reminder, I'm John Aravosa. I wouldn't do the radio voice, just a reminder. No, but to sort of every 2 minutes ago, just a reminder, I'm John Aravosa here in Washington, D.C. We're in the segment of the show where I'm reviewing the news. And in about 15 minutes, we'll be doing your questions. But to kind of keep reminding folks so that anybody who pops in is like, okay, what's going on? Thank you for the party favors. That's for Harvey. We'll say that was for Harvey. Somebody did the like birthday party things exploding on TikTok. We'll say that was for Harvey. Any case, yes, just stop fighting, folks. Much bigger fish to worry about. Anyway, Midas Touch is on. We do love Midas Touch. They're great boys. I had them on my podcast. God, they're hilarious. Well, we had the two of them. We had Jordy and what's his face? Not Ben, the oldest, second. I'm forgetting the names. Middle-aged. He's young. He's like young 30s. We had him and Jordy on. They were hilarious. We were laughing so hard with them. God, I love those guys. And they're great. They do great work, but they're also just really funny and fun guys. I mean, we just kept like all four of us were laughing throughout the whole show. It's actually it's on like my YouTube. You can go find me if you like Midas Touch. Mind you, it's liberal politics, whatever, but it's they were fun guys to talk to if you like them. All right. Anyway, all right, guys. Yep, exactly. Thank you. I'm saying thank you. Somebody was reminding. That's the other thing I keep forgetting to remind folks is when they're on that we're doing the updates. So yeah, the update. I'm just going to stick with 7 o'clock for now because it seems to work. Earlier is kind of difficult for the Americans. It gets even harder because even 7 o'clock is Washington D.C. time. That's still 4 o'clock in California. So it's no matter it's late in Europe. It just once I'm in Chicago, and I leave for Chicago next Sunday. My friend Damien will be watching the apartment, so he'll be taking care of my plants and stuff. Thank you for that. But once I'm at Mom's, I'll figure out what time we're doing this because 7 o'clock would be 6 o'clock there, which is kind of right as Mom's making dinner. So that might not work. I don't know. I'd almost do earlier, but I'm afraid earlier is then like crazy. Like if I do 4 o'clock, whether that just gets to be because then the problem is then it may even affect the moderators too because people aren't available. I've got to see. I could try to do 6, but it's going to be hard. Mom is never ready to eat before 7 o'clock. And the best part is Mom is I saw that. Thank you. Mom is the kind of mom where I'm always like, okay, I'm starving. My blood sugar is going down. When are we eating? In a few minutes. She means an hour. and I'm always like, okay, does a few minutes mean a few minutes? Does it mean 10 minutes? Half an hour? Don't push me. I'm like, I just need to know if I need to eat something or not. So yeah, Mom getting it done by 6 o'clock Chicago time is going to be very difficult. So thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate it. So we'll see what time. I have no idea what time I'm going to do this. I'd rather not do it later in the evening because then it would be like 7:30, which is like 8:30 Eastern, which then it makes it harder for the Brits. But for me too, like I don't want to be done at, well, it'd be the same thing I'm doing, but it could be even later than here. I don't want to be done at like 9:30 at night. Also, because in the Midwest, the evening ends quicker. Like there by 10 o'clock, the evening's kind of over. And I'm visiting Mom too. So I don't want to spend every night when Mom and I finally hang out watching TV. Anyway, I'm going to figure out what schedule. I don't know what schedule I'm doing, but I'm at Mom's for a month. So the weekends we can do the same. The weekday is going to be tough. So we're going to do it. I just have to figure out when. Maybe we will jump around, We could try doing some that are a little bit better for the Europeans, but I'm just afraid we lose all the Americans. You may meet Mom. I'm always nervous because I feel like there's so many trolls and everything online. I always am worried about showing family members lest they be, annoyed by lest the trolls go after them and stuff. But yeah, I do the weekends for the UK. At least that works. You missed today's. Yes. I mean, today we're done. But on the weekends, I typically go for 1 o'clock Eastern time, which is Washington, D.C. time. So, which is probably, you guys are 5 hours ahead, I think, now, right? I think I checked before we started. I think you're 5 hours ahead. So that might be 6 o'clock your time, dinner time-ish. On the weekends. Weekdays, forget it. Obviously, this is hard for you. I mean, I start at 7, which is already like 1 a.m. for you guys, if I'm not incorrect. Oh, Sasha's definitely coming with me to Chicago. Are you kidding? She'd be pissed if I left, but also, I feel safer having her with me. It feels better having her with me, but I feel safer having her with me too, All right, guys, it's 8:47. I'm tired. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. As always, I'm saying good night, but TikTok, I'll let you go for a minute since I am told that it takes a minute to catch up, and then I always cut off the TikTok people in the middle. So I'm saying good night to you now and warning you that it'll be cutting you off. Well, Australia, I don't even know how to compensate for Australia. Asian times always mess me up. Totally messes me up how to do it for Asia. But thank you, guys. All right, you know what I'll do? I'll sign off of YouTube first since I know you guys are only 5 seconds delayed. So you're all here saying goodbye. And TikTokers, exactly. Now it's already hit. Thank you, Cindy. Now it's already hit the TikTok folks, so you know I'm going. All right, YouTube, I'm going to say goodbye first. Good night. We'll see everybody tomorrow, 7 o'clock Washington time, Washington, D.C. Goodbye, YouTube.